I'm Dr. David Paprota, Executive Director of Critical Concepts and Strategies, CCS Test Prep, and retired Chief of Police. I've created this video to give candidates insight into the statewide Massachusetts police officer exam process. This is a process for municipal police officers throughout the state under the civil service system, as well as the MBTA, the Transit Authority Police. So this includes City of Boston and large civil service cities, as well as small civil service jurisdictions throughout the state. Statewide exam, one single exam administered every other year for all those titles. Now, those departments work off of the lists created from the scores generated from this particular exam, so it's extremely important that candidates that are serious about entering law enforcement in Massachusetts properly prepare for this very competitive exam. Now, the test is the Law Enforcement Aptitude Battery, a three-part multi-factor psychometric test that consistently involves 48 cognitive questions in part one of the exam. The 3 hours that's given for this entire exam, this 219 question exam, includes the 48 cognitive questions, 103 trade assessment statements in part two that are very critically scored and account for a large portion of your overall score, and then 68 biodata and behavioral situational questions that are included in part three that again count for a disproportionate amount of your overall score as compared to the cognitive. Now, if you want more information on the Law Enforcement Aptitude Battery, regarding that, I have other videos specifically on the exam, general approach and overview of the exam process. But for Massachusetts, you're looking at the 48 cognitive in part one, the 103 trade assessment in part two, and the 68 biodata in part three of the exam. Now, those sections come together, they're scored independently, they come together to generate your overall score. So, for instance, in the cognitive section, the 48 questions, although it's weighted the most minimal of the three sections overall and counting towards your final overall average, it is essential that you meet the cut score that's established for that. So even though it's a scaled score, it needs to be a 70 or above to meet that cut line for part two and part three to be scored. So if you meet the requirements, your overall exam is scored. Now, part two and part three, those non-cognitive components, the trade assessment and the biodata, with this type of testing, this Law Enforcement Aptitude Battery, count as the vast majority of your overall score. And those sections are very important as far as how you read the statements and properly perceive what the statements mean, what the questions mean when asked. A lot of candidates go in, as a matter of fact, most candidates go in without proper perspective and end up really hurting their score unnecessarily. They could be the ideal candidate. They could be the person that test is designed to assess and determine and put forth as a top candidate. And because of misperceptions or most often misinformation they receive from others and then use, they end up hurting their overall score and actually being out of the running instead of being at the top of the list. So it's critical that there is, to be truly competitive and get a high score, that there is a complete understanding of each of the three sections of the test before you go in and engage in this process. Now, no shortage of candidates will be watching this video that have taken the test in the past and achieved a substandard score. And I put forth to you, the definition of insanity is real simple, the plain language definition. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It's not going to happen. You need to properly prepare. As a matter of fact, any true professional going into a job-related entrance exam, whether it be a qualifying exam for an attorney in taking the bar exam or some other profession where there's a licensing exam or a competitive entry-level exam, no one who's a true professional goes into the test without properly preparing for it. And the booklets, little study guides here and there are not going to get it done as far as truly giving you the insight you need to have that understanding and the development of the appropriate knowledge, skills, and abilities to be able to perform high on this type of exam. So I'm here for you. The testing cycle is known and published by the state of Massachusetts. Each time it comes about, there's an application period, a test date established. They test statewide, generally in one day in different locations throughout the state. You're going to be testing against thousands and thousands and thousands of other people statewide. Be competitive, prepare yourself, reach out to me. www.ccsTest.com is my website. You can look at the main menu, look under Massachusetts, under entry-level preparation, look under Massachusetts, look at the page dedicated to the Massachusetts statewide test, and contact me, reach out to me. If I have open registration for preparation, look at that information, and I encourage you to register, be a professional, be competitive, do the right thing, put the work in, prepare yourself, and earn a top score. If you want to ask me any questions, there is a contact template there. You can go ahead and inquire and ask me any questions you may have. Now, what I have established, doesn't matter where you live, what your schedule is, and what time of day you want to train, I have developed an online learning platform in which I work with my students. It's an active process on my part. I work with my students utilizing the online learning platform to teach you what you need to know and to assess you and test you and work with you to get you where you need to be as far as understanding. So don't worry about course locations, times, dates. It's available and flexible for you to be able to use. I'm available 7 days a week to my students, and regularly every day I'm involved with consultation with my students directly, that personalized approach as needed to get you where you need to be. Don't take a chance. Be serious. www.ccsTest.com. You can go ahead and look that up, look at the information, contact me, and we'll go from there. Okay? Good luck.